Friends, in this section, we will see the commands for copying, moving, and scaling, that is, enlarging and shrinking. The topics here are really very simple and very enjoyable. For this, I type box into the search button on the left and press enter. In the box section, friends, my ready-made boxes appear. Look, there is a box that is 10 meters in size, 1 meter in size, and what we call a chamfer box. In the chamfer box, see how the edges come in a soft manner. Now, how do I know if I have selected any model? A colored line forms around it, see like this. I selected the model. Then I press the move button above. Friends, look, the object comes to the move button. There is an arrow condition at the end of the object. I can use this to move it upwards. I said Ctrl-Z. I have the ability to move it in the Y direction and X direction by holding it like this. Or by holding it. From the middle part, I can place the objects wherever I want like this. As you can see, it automatically holds some vertices, like this. As you can see, it holds it like this. Of course, you don't need to rotate it automatically. It captures the desired point itself, and you can leave it at the point you want. In the rotate section, the cursor changed. Look, you can immediately transfer it in the X direction, in the red direction, in the Z direction. Again, you have the ability to move it from here as well. You can perform both the rotation and the moving operation together with this, friends. Very simple. If you want, you came over the object. For example, if you want to rotate from this side without pressing anything, just when the cursor is blinking, it rotates 10 degrees when you set it to 10. You came to this side, and when you set it to 10, it rotates 10 degrees to this side. If you want to rotate in the desired direction, you can also enter the degree. You can perform the rotation operations, friends. As I said, very simple and very easy. Scaling operations are the same way. If you grab from the center and enlarge, the entire object enlarges. If you grab these cursors and shrink, the object starts to shrink in this way, or like this. As you can see, you have the chance to enlarge and shrink at any point you want. When you enlarge too much, the form of the object gets distorted, as with every object. Now, there are some copying techniques, friends. There are some copying techniques. For example, let's apply a metal from the material section we learned onto this. If you want, let it be metal now. Let it be a more matte metal. Yes, let it be something like this. Let's do something like this to it. Now, in the copying technique, there are two types of copying techniques. One is the instance command, and the other is the copy command. When we copy, for example, when we instance copy this, friends, let's move it. Look, I'm copying this. I pressed and released Shift. When I press and release Shift, it performs copying. It says instance and copy. If I say instance, it carries the same properties as this object. Carrying the same properties means when I apply a texture to this, all of them will have the same texture. Look, now I've copied 4 of these. Let it be an instance. These have been copied 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times. Look now, friends. When I apply a matte texture, they all turn to a matte texture. However, when I select this object, copy it, and choose the copy command, 5. When I type and press enter, I can apply a separate texture for each of these. As you can see, friends, and they all have different textures. Why? Because I used the copy command. Friends, I managed all of these with the copy command. On the right side, I have a scene library here, friends. This is something like a family tree. A family tree means that all the models here actually have their names listed here. For example, if you press the F key on the keyboard, it immediately zooms in. Since I will be giving you shortcuts, I have prepared the shortcut PDF booklet for you. Since I will be providing these, you will be able to use them. For example, the colorful sphere over there. I want to zoom in. I pressed F. It zoomed in directly. For instance, you are very far away in the scene. If there is a model, you know from here, you can click on it and press F to zoom in immediately. Friends. For example, you can make a selection from here. I selected this one. I moved down to Shift. I can select all of them. Look, friends, I pressed Shift and selected all of them. And here, I will lift the arrow direction upwards. So, I will move these, friends. Look now. I moved them like this, upwards. Only this one wasn't selected. I want to show a feature related to the physics engine here. It's a very fun method. For example, I duplicated one more by pressing Shift on this. And I duplicated one more, friends. As you can see, I have many models now. As you can see here. Now, I want to select all of these. I selected this with Shift. I held down Shift. I'm going all the way down. I selected all of them, friends. Now, look. What is a physics engine? Normally, the physics engine allows these to fall from top to bottom. It allows and calculates according to the realistic world. There is an arrow condition here. Look, I'm pressing this arrow condition. There is a down arrow key. I hovered over it. Gravity writes, gravity. meaning to start gravity. Look, I'm starting it. Did you see? It can automatically perform the physical effects of real life here as well, friends. It does. The object falls, provides a physical movement, and stays there. A very excellent feature. Where would you use these? In complex objects, you might want to drop an apple into a jar. You can use it to distribute normally. For the toys in a child's room to look messy, they need to be scattered to appear realistic. Children usually play in a messy way. Like dropping them, you can drop and break many objects that come to mind, friends.